Hello and welcome. I'm Dave Elliot, Global Product Lead for Storage Products here at Google. I'm a former backup admin, and I've spent most of my career in storage and backup. Most recently, I've been helping shape Google's cloud storage offering.
And I'm Randy Serafini, Senior Product Marketing Manager at Veritas. Veritas is the market share leader in backup with more than 34,000 enterprise customers. We're here today to talk to you about cloud storage, backup, and some of the key aspects of making the decisions on what and when to move to the cloud as a backup target. Dave, let's get started.
Okay, so today we'd like to chat about some of the emerging challenges that backup faces. Challenges which make cloud more and more relevant. Then we'll provide a brief overview of what types of things you should be thinking about when using cloud as a backup target. Next, Randy will provide an overview of NetBackup and discuss how it simplifies the move to cloud. And then I'll touch a little bit on our object storage service named Google Cloud Storage. We'll close with a few tangible suggestions on where to go from here. So I'm sure you've been thinking about using the cloud as a backup target for some time. The question are, what's changed and why now? So there are significant continued and emerging challenges that we face. We all know that data is growing at a really fast rate for a variety of reasons. Generally, we're spiraling towards a future where the digital world is overtaking our entire storage infrastructure, where creation, modification, distribution of digital assets is becoming easier and easier. But at the same time, budgets for storing and protecting that data are not changing, or at least not as quickly as the data itself is growing. The classic do more with less drumbeat in IT continues. Another growing challenge for those in IT is that they're responsible for data protection and they need to align those activities with business outcomes. So forward-looking CIOs have been developing strategies for quite a while on how to make sure that they show their investments are in fact aligned with the investments of growth and they're not just a cost center. Finally, security and compliance concerns continue to be a major part of your job, whether it be a high-profile security breach or new regulations. The cost of meeting these challenges is really becoming significant.
That's right, Dave. One emerging example is the recently passed EU General Data Protection Regulation, or GDPR.
GDPR. It's that's got to be a government thing.
Yeah, say that 5 times really fast. This new regulation will go into effect in Europe in 2018. It requires a company to delete data if it is no longer used for the purpose it was collected. And it requires a company to delete that data if an individual revokes the consent for that company to hold the data. Regulations like these have far-reaching implications to the storage, data protection, backup, and archiving teams.
Got it. So it's data growth, fixed budgets, business alignment, and then the security and compliance. These are things that are significant challenges now.
That's correct.
In backup.
Yep.
Okay, so let's think a little bit about some of the challenges then of existing backup targets. When you think about cloud, you think about, well, what's the alternative? So most of you probably use or have used tape as your primary backup target. Tape, however, has many limitations, which are significant and are becoming more and more problematic in a world where data security, compliance, and availability are critical. First, let's talk about the speed of tape. No matter how modern the library, you're still working from the limitations of a linear technology. Plus, tape is usually stored off-site and is, of course, offline, meaning it could take hours or even days for you to get the tape back on premise. Well, nothing's new about this problem in tape. It's more significant of a limitation in a world where on-demand, always-on is status quo. Second, remember that tape is a manual process with physical devices, tapes, autoloaders, libraries that are managed by humans. In economic terms, tape can be labor-intensive, but in IT terms, it's just a pain. That brings me to the third major challenge of tape. It can be an unreliable process. It's error-prone not necessarily because tape is unreliable, but because there are multiple steps, multiple devices, and multiple people, and that leads to multiple potential points of failure.
Dave, I think you made a mistake with your slide. Where's the icon for error-prone?
Well, I had a great one, but I accidentally fat-fingered it and deleted it. You know, I am only human.
Well, now you know why that's why people need backup.
That's right. They need to have a secondary copy, and it's not a manual and error-prone one like tape management. So let's move on to the other popular target, disk. Disk is ideal for delivery of hot data and has a lot of uses in backup, such as for deduplication. However, a lot of folks overuse disk. It's not designed for long-term retention. It's expensive, and depending on your architecture and design, can be really, really difficult to scale. So now let's move on to some of the key considerations of cloud storage as you think about using it for cloud backup. So we'd like to touch on 3 areas: technical considerations, financial considerations, and operational considerations. Let's start with technical considerations. This is the one that most people think about. First, storage has to be reliable. You simply can't ever lose data. This might be represented as durability, redundancy, or geographic diversity. Second, storage should be available. This is more and more important. Can I get my data when and where I need it? This might be reflected in latency, global reach, network performance and stability, and will likely have some sort of service level agreement attached to it. Third, the data has to be safe in the cloud. As we mentioned earlier, you can't afford to fail on this front. Important considerations is the type and location of encryption, access control mechanisms, and a track record of safety and security. Ask your cloud vendor. Next, let's look at financial considerations. Prices continue to fall in cloud, so let's take a look at how tape, disk, and cloud generally compare. So capital outlay or hardware purchasing. Disk is expensive and cloud requires no upfront purchases, so cloud has an advantage there. Capacity costs or ongoing costs are typically very low for tape, but remember that's only a part of storage. For cloud, in comparison to tape, you only pay for what you actually use and you use it when you actually need it. While tape has shipping and logistics for offsite storage. Networking cost is higher for cloud as you import and export data. Personnel costs are higher for tape as it requires, as we mentioned, some human intervention, some human activity, and has higher recovery cost. So to find out if it makes economic sense for you, I recommend putting together a spreadsheet that takes into account the real cost of tape and the real cost of cloud. We'll be doing another in-depth webinar on the ROI of tape versus cloud, so keep an eye out for that. So now let's take a look at the third major component here, the operational considerations of the cloud. So moving to the cloud, you may have organizational resistance from vested interest. It may be somebody's job it is to manage the backups and they don't want to change. Change is hard. You may have resistance from the security teams or from traditional IT that's not yet sold on cloud. So generally a best practice to overcome that organizational resistance is get buy-in early and make them a part of the process. Engage your vendors, engage us to help you alleviate some of these concerns. Second is workflow. So some of the organizational resistance might come from people's jobs changing. So how do you best optimize? Generally speaking, I would say think about it ahead of time, prepare for having those individuals be reassigned to value-added services to create better alignment with the business. You also are going to have vested interest in existing vendors for storage and backup. And generally speaking, the best practice there is simply be prepared to switch, though that isn't typically something that is a major inhibitor. Finally, integration. How difficult is it to move to the cloud? How tightly integrated is the solution? Your backup software should make it easy to use, disk, tape, or cloud. Great, so now let's talk about net backup and how net backup makes it really, really simple to move to the cloud, and really, if you can start with just explaining how net backup views the world and how net backup is a differentiated product.
Sure, I'd be happy to, Dave. Thank you. When we talk about net backup, we are talking about highly scalable enterprise class data protection. For nearly as long as I can remember, and I've been doing this for a while, the typical enterprise is a complex, heterogeneous environment with a wide range of applications running in virtual systems, physical systems, and are globally deployed in multiple data centers with potentially thousands of remote offices everywhere. When you layer massive data growth on top of these complex global deployments coming from potentially hundreds of thousands of VMs, as we see in some of our largest enterprise customers on the planet, you need to be able to scale and manage petabytes
Or exabytes.
of data no matter where it is located without loss in performance. What enterprise customers tell us is they don't want to run multiple point products for their data protection. The reason for this is they end up with siloed solutions, what not only adds cost and are hard to scale, but introduces significant risk. This additional cost to train, manage, and orchestrate multiple products, but because the data protection is now fragmented, significant risk is introduced through gaps in their data protection that might be discovered only when it's too late. Imagine the challenges of trying to orchestrate recovery from multiple products in the event of a major disaster. This is where I'd like to introduce the NetBackup platform and the sheer power it brings to the enterprise in what we call a unified data protection solution.
Unified data protection.
Yes.
Is that something that that people understand? Unified data protection?
That actually is a very common industry term. You talk about point solutions, and then you talk about unified data protection. And that's a great segue, but I'm not going to tell you exactly what unified data protection is just yet.
So when you think about point solutions, you think about, somebody once said that data centers are museums of past IT decisions, where you've got a point solution to maybe to back up one set of systems and another point solution set up another set type of
Typically, it's
solutions.
broken down either by workloads. So you might have one application backing up physical workloads, another application, data protection solution backing up virtual environments. The list can be, and you could have different vendors coming in because of acquisitions that, from companies that are using different types of solutions. And it's not uncommon today for a number of enterprises to have multiple point solutions running in their environment.
So unified data protection then is something that NetBackup is well known for.
Oh, absolutely. That is what we do.
In fact, I understand in the latest 2016 Magic Quadrant report for data center backup and recovery, which I understand Veritas has been in for, what,
We've been in it for
years?
17 years, since the very beginning of the Magic Quadrant. And we are actually still the #1 market share leader in backup and recovery.
Huh.
So, and what they had to say about NetBackup is that NetBackup is the most evaluated enterprise backup solution and the most deployed solution for organizations with 5,000 or more employees.
5,000 or more employees, so
Yes.
very, very large organization.
That's exactly right. And the reason for this is simple. NetBackup has perhaps the broadest support for heterogeneous environments across virtual, physical, and cloud,
And cloud.
and allows the enterprise to manage data protection as a holistic solution, all from a single console or by workload. And because NetBackup is designed as a ground-up unified data protection platform, which includes both software and a family of tightly integrated appliances, NetBackup has the ability to manage data protection for the globally deployed enterprise while maintaining performance at petabyte
Or exabyte.
scale, correct?
All right.
And providing the holistic global view of all enterprise data without the added cost and risk of point solutions. The biggest challenges enterprise customers tell us, and we talk to a lot of them, is the need to reduce complexity, because with complexity comes cost and risk. They need to be able to not only maintain performance in the face of massive data growth, they need to manage and reduce the cost of this data growth. The next hot topic is facing the CIO is how can they become more agile, be more efficient and streamlined in their operations, eliminate bottlenecks, and respond better to new business challenges and opportunities.
So simplicity and agility, these are important differentiators for NetBackup?
Absolutely.
Okay, great. So what are some what's another important differentiator?
Well, the one thing that you missed was scalability.
Okay.
So you get simplicity, scalability, and agility.
Okay, great.
Okay? And finally is visibility. What they want is they want to be able to see all of their data, no matter where it is, and be able to better leverage that data or eliminate data that no longer is of value. NetBackup 7.7 brings to the enterprise what we call a converged data protection platform.
Converged data protection platform. Hold on, Randy. That sounds like some good marketing fluff. What does that really mean?
Well, but when you think about it today, we talk about hypervisor converged platforms, we talk about infrastructure converged platforms. What that really means is a tight integration between software and hardware.
Okay.
So what we have is a unique combination of NetBackup software and our integrated family of NetBackup appliances that not only simplify the deployment of NetBackup, but provide massive enterprise-class performance and scale across workloads in the enterprise. Customers that have moved and consolidated workloads to the NetBackup Converged platform have discovered the ease and simplicity of managing a unified data protection platform across their deployment. And with the many performance features and intelligent policies to automate and accelerate backup and recovery, they have experienced significant improvements in both backup performance and backup success rates, as well as faster recoveries. Not to mention, with this integrated end-to-end deduplication, significant reduction in storage footprint and costs.
So now I know what a converged platform is. Great.
That's correct, yes.
Thanks.
It is fully integrated. What is important to keep in mind is that for those companies that leverage a single unified data protection solution, that protects all workloads and data, they're in a unique position with the right information management tools to get visibility into all their globally deployed data.
Back to visibility, right?
Back to visibility.
One of the key
Yes,
differentiators.
one of our key differentiators. Whether that data is on-prem, whether it's remote, or in the cloud,
In the cloud, hopefully Google's cloud.
you can get actionable intelligence. A perfect example of this right kind of tool is our exciting new Veritas information map solution that in a matter of minutes can import NetBackup's catalog and index data and present a global view of that data, where it's located, how much is there, and with the ability to double-click and understand what kind of data it is, and more importantly, does that data represent unlocked value, or can that cost be eliminated? Okay, now that you have a pretty good idea of why so many enterprise customers love NetBackup, let's talk about cloud.
Cloud, love it. Let's talk about cloud.
Well, I thought you might like to do that.
Okay.
So we know today the world has an expanding lineup of cloud vendors with more coming online every day in just about any flavor you can imagine. This is the good news and the bad news. The good news is that you have more choice, and we all love more choice. The bad news is you have more choice.
You can just pick Google Cloud and be
You
done
could
with
just
it.
do that and make it
You
simple,
could.
right?
Yeah.
Well, where NetBackup can play a key role with helping to simplify your decision is its natural ability to extend data protection and management to the cloud, as if it was just another globally deployed enterprise data center or target storage device, only now these resources are in the cloud. When you look at the real bench strength of NetBackup, it has the ability to scale and protect these workloads no matter where they reside, and can easily move and keep track of this data, whether it's on disk, tape, appliance, or in the cloud, or even multiple clouds.
So it's scale, and not just scale in terms of more servers, but more servers across more locations and more types.
No matter where it resides.
Okay, great.
With NetBackup, we have a growing list of integrated cloud connectors and data reduction technologies, and with a single click from the NetBackup console, you can start target backups to your cloud vendor of choice. In addition to connecting to your favorite cloud provider of choice via NetBackup integrated cloud connectors, you can leverage a wide range of cloud gateways, such as NetApp's AltaVault or StoreReduce, with deduplication that can further reduce the cost of replacing tape to the cloud. Our support for Google Nearline is robust. It enables to use cloud storage as an alternative to tape when choosing long-term storage of backup data. It also allows backup of large volumes of data at a very low cost, and that can get access to it at any time.
This is great. I don't need to talk about Nearline. You're talking about such of the great benefits of it.
No, it's all pretty simple. Once you use NetBackup and target Google, you're all set. You're ready to go.
Yeah.
We can manage it for you and take care of it for you.
You've got your Nearline, which I'll talk about in just a minute. Let's talk about integration through OST.
Well, OST is one of our very special features. It allows storage vendors to actually integrate tightly with NetBackup and allows NetBackup to see all the data where it's located within that storage vendor. And we do the same thing with all of our connectors into the cloud. So by leveraging this unique OST layer, NetBackup can continue to monitor and back up all backup information regardless of location, whether it's on disk, on tape, or cloud. So you have NetBackup lifecycle management capabilities, which also manage the when and how information is moved. This is critical, whether you move it from online disk or to Google Cloud Storage Nearline.
Great.
Recent enhancements in NetBackup 7.7 with multi-stream technology significantly improves WAN backup and recovery performance by up to 30 times for compatible cloud storage. And a truly unique enterprise feature in NetBackup is its auto image replication, or NetBackup Air. Our customers love this feature. This technology allows companies to automate and accelerate disaster recovery through configurable, WAN-optimized replication of deduplicated backup images and catalog data to remote locations. Many NetBackup customers are looking to simplify their disaster recovery by leveraging cloud platforms as their remote disaster recovery site with our Air technology.
So simplification, we're hearing again simplification, we're hearing agility, scale, and visibility. Okay.
Those are the real strengths of NetBackup.
Great.
Most importantly, support for Google Nearline is single-click simple. Bring up the cloud storage UI in NetBackup, click on Google Nearline, and enter the Google credentials, and you are now ready to back up to the cloud. It's that simple.
Fantastic.
Now, I'd like to hand it back to Dave to discuss how Google Cloud Storage is differentiated and is a great fit as a backup storage target. Dave, it's all yours.
Thanks. So a quick introduction to Google Cloud Storage. It's our cloud object store, which is a great place to store backups. Google Cloud Storage allows you to store, access, and manage your unstructured data on Google's infrastructure. So it's the same storage that Google uses for images in Google Photos, Gmail attachments, Google Docs. Cloud Object Store offers unlimited scale, global availability, it's highly durable, and it has very, very low cost. So what are some of the Google Cloud Storage key differentiators? First, our massive scalability, which means you'll never have to be concerned with running out of storage again. Second, our global network, which we built and own, means better latency and more reliable network performance. Third, our price leadership. This means you'll be getting the best value. We compare favorably not only to on-prem storage, disk and tape, but also to other cloud providers. On average, we're 13 to 20% less expensive. Fourth, what I'll call interesting value-added services. These are cloud services that you can apply to your data when it's in our cloud. Things like data analytics and machine learning, for instance. Fifth, all of Google's cloud storage offerings use a consistent single API. No need to write API for standard storage and another for archive. And then finally, the tight integration with backup solutions such as NetBackup and Backup Exec means that it's very simple to get started. So now I want to briefly introduce Google Cloud Storage's services. So we have three specific services. The first is standard storage, which is highly performant and highly available, and is ideally suited for hot applications. Durable reduced availability is exactly what its name says. It provides slightly lower availability with the same durability and performance, and it costs a little bit less. Nearline, though, is ideally designed for backup. Nearline is what NetBackup has tightly integrated into its UI. It's low cost at only a penny a gig per month, but you do pay for reads. So it's ideally designed for those use cases where you don't read the data frequently, such as backup. It's highly durable, 11.9 durability built in, and again, it's integrated with NetBackup and Backup Exec. So now let's close with a few ideas on where you can go from here. What and when do you move data to the cloud? Data moving to the cloud, any data that's older than 30 days. I think 90% of backup restores are from data that's less than 30 days. So after 30 days, you can move it to the cloud.
That's correct, but there's another interesting statistic, Dave, and that is research has shown that after 90 days, 97% of the data,
97%. Okay.
97% is no longer accessed. So think about that. You have all this data sitting on expensive disk after 90 days, just sitting there.
So move it to.
What's a good place to do it? What's a good thing to do?
Move
with
it to the cloud
Move it
as
to the
quickly
cloud.
as you can after 30 days or 60 days. So data in remote office and branches, the typical robo use case, it's a great place for you. The type of data to move to the cloud because you already have to traverse the network. A secondary copy of backup data, so disk to disk to cloud, as you might call it, is a great type of data that gets moved. Data that's generally on-prem, that's has filled up your data center, filled up your disk array, filled up your local cache, and then data that's supporting a BCDR plan. So that's a type of data, typically. You agree with that?
I do, yes.
Yeah. And then the catalyst events, the things that drive people to make decisions to consider cloud, perhaps the reason people are watching this webinar right now. First, tape equipment is coming off lease or is simply reaching obsolescence. So you need to replace your tape. Second, launching perhaps a cloud-first initiative internally. Perhaps a server or desktop virtualization project or wholesale infrastructure upgrades. It could be that there's new people and new people are willing to try and do things differently. Or it could be some sort of consolidation initiative where they're looking to take some of those vast pools of tape and disk that are all over their infrastructure and consolidate them and create some efficiencies. So just a few ideas on, hopefully some tangible ideas on what type of data typically gets moved to the cloud, and then some catalyst events. So very quickly, a very high level architecture, a very simple architecture that might look like either using direct backup from NetBackup or any backup vendor directly to the cloud, or by leveraging a gateway, using NetBackup through a gateway to GCS. And then finally, I'd like to summarize and do a simple recap. There's some emerging challenges in backup. Backup environments changing with more and more data, more and more regulations, and then a desire or really requirement to better support the business, to better align with the business. Tape and disk limitations are even more significant in this era, right? When high data growth, constrained budgets, and on-demand world. And when thinking about storage for backup, there are technical, financial, and operational considerations that we barely touched on. Hopefully we gave you a construct for you to think about and for you to go and have a conversation with your team as to whether cloud makes sense. We finished with an introduction to net backup and how net backup is designed for the whole global enterprise. And we introduced Google Cloud Storage Nearline as a highly durable, globally available, low cost, limitless data storage pool that's tightly integrated with net backup.
Yep.
So finally, a few suggestions on where to go from here. Try to make it as tangible as possible. First, experiment. It's the cloud, right? It's designed to experiment. It's designed to play with.
And to reiterate, Dave, it's single click simple. Because it's so tightly integrated in net backup, all you got to do is pull up the UI, pull up the storage cloud component of net backup, and click on Google Nearline. Put the credentials in, and you now are ready to back up to Google Cloud Services.
So experiment, try it. If you're a net backup user today, it's simple. Second thing is get buy-in from stakeholders. For some of those stakeholders that were concerned with the change in their workday, the change in the process, change in vendors, get buy-in from them early. Run the numbers. Go ahead and create that spreadsheet and go and get the real numbers so you can compare the cost to tape versus cloud versus disk. Don't re-index your tapes and upload them. Just cut over. Just leave the old ones and let them age off. Let them expire. And then finally, related to the experimentation, leverage the promotion. We've got a $300 new customer promotion running right now where you can go and sign up in a few simple clicks. It's literally, I think, 4 minutes. And you can leverage that promotion with your net backup instance today and get started and start experimenting. A couple of areas for you to get more information. You can read the new ESG white paper on data protection to the cloud. And you can also, of course, read the technical brief that is net backup and Google Cloud Storage. So thank you for your time, and please look forward to our other webinars.
Dave, thank you for inviting us to share net backup with you and with all of our customers and potential customers out there. We're excited about the opportunity to be able to use net backup to leverage the cloud. That's where people are going. That's where the enterprise is going, and we want to be able to help enable that.
Fantastic.
So,
Thanks,
thank you
Randy.
so much.
Thank you.